so it may have taken them 7 to 8 months, but they finally updated the list of vision cards available through the Perma Vision Card Select ticket. This actually happened a while ago, but now that Golden Rizer is out, I finally feel motivated enough to give an update. So I already went over the guidelines for vision cards before, and it's much easier for me to direct you to the previous video if you want to go over those. Now, let's get started. In this video, I'll be valuing vision cards that not only display a wider spread of application, but also stay a step above the rest. Mad Dash simply boosts attack with a greatsword. While it does a good job at it, it's not too difficult to cap any given stat, and you're better off looking for another vision card that brings more to the table. In Order to Change the World has passives that boost your unit's HP and defense. However, the card itself is attack-oriented, so I think it's just confused. Planet's Whisper boosts magic and spirit with a rod, but its stats are just way too low to justify this ticket. Guiding the Youth is like Mad Dash but with katana. Virtual Training doesn't have any limits, though when it comes to spirit I only recommend choosing it if your unit's holding a single weapon. The status element resistance just elevates its usefulness. Azure Successor has nice passives, boosting attack and magic, alongside limit burst damage so long as the unit's female, but the stats themselves are incredibly low, especially compared to many other vision cards. The limit burst damage buff is nice, but it's still outclassed. Judge Magister is great for physical tanks. However, most physical tanks prefer their own vision card anyways. If you have any one physical tank, you'll likely get their vision card eventually. Battle of the Black Knights can boost attack, which isn't really special, especially given 2 out of 4 of these weapons are rarely paired up. It does have a guts buff, but that's only applicable to units from Final Fantasy II. Madam and the Giant Bird, Birdo, is attack with a fist. The Heartless Sage boosts magic with a rod. It's good at that, but magic isn't too hard to stack. Too Cool for the Summer is great for magic tanks, but places yellow because of similarities to Judge Magister. Christos Revelation boosts fire, water, wind, and earth resistance by 20%, and then boosts attack with a sword or katana. Elemental resistance can be life-saving, but when it comes to a vision card you really want to maximize as opposed to making concessions. Given the potential stats from a vision card, it's best to get your elemental resistance elsewhere. A Day in the Life of Physalis boosts attack and magic with a gun. Unfortunately, once again, we see that the stats are too low. This has the same effect as that one of the rod, and while the last passive is good, only one unit will actually use it. And if you have that unit, you'll have this vision card. Separation and Restoration boost attack with a throwing weapon. The Heir to Purple Lightning boosts attack and magic with clothes. If your unit's male, it'll also give them a double insect killer, which, while niche, could be really great. However, its stats are pretty low. Thanks for Everything boosts attack or magic of a greatsword or bow, respectively. While it's nice as a combination, so few units need both at the same time. Furthermore, in any one regard it faces stiff competition, which is why it doesn't receive too much glory. Festive Preparations, Team Laswell boosts HP and equipment attack when dual-wielding. But dual-wielding equipment has a cap at 200%, so it's not especially hard to reach that. Festive Preparations, Team Sages boosts magic with a rod and robe. I don't quite know why you just wouldn't grab those if you want magic. While the elemental resistance is nice, it's hard to argue that it's worth this ticket, unless you just so happen to be struggling with a battle that needs that 30% elemental resistance. Festive Preparations, Team Axstar increases attack with a katana. It looks weaker than Axstar's original vision card, but that's because it also boosts equipment attack when single wielding. Still, I don't think it's that valuable when you take its strength into account. The Savior's Descent boosts attack and magic so long as your unit's holding a shield. Unfortunately, there aren't that many notable damage dealers who play like this, so it remains low tier for a novel idea. Friends from Today is attack with a spear. 500 Years of Grief is literally for snow. The requirements are just so alienating that I can't put it on the same level as Skyrim's vision card. Sildra, Come Up and Say Hello, may have a low stat boost to justify its easy requirement, but it's really the evoke damage boost that stands out. This is most notable as it's restricted to female units, which is a wider pool than, say, units from Final Fantasy V. Egg Painting increases HP, and Equipment Spear when dual-wielding. There aren't too many magic tanks that prefer dual-wielding over a shield, and units that want spirit would just rather have more spirit. The Equipment Spear cap is also 200% for dual-wielding, so as more of these equipment are released, it'll gradually become easier to cap that stat. Face My Full Power is a weaker version of So's vision card, as a result of an automatic 15% water damage buff for Final Fantasy Brave Exvius units. But, as of this video's release, 15% isn't that amazing. The cure for insomnia boosts attack with a sword. For what it's worth, the attack stat is high, but there are bound to be higher values later on. It also boosts jump damage, but only for units from Final Fantasy 15. If you have said units, you won't need to use this ticket on this vision card anyways. A King's Dominion stands out most for its evasion passive. Though evasion is a great when needed, newer enemies are starting to learn how to aim. Duty as the Oracle straight up boosts magic and Esper magic for female units. Whether or not this is a better choice than the Sildra vision card depends on the unit in question, but overall with the magic stat it's pretty solid. Onward to the Disc is the same as Insomnia, but with different elemental resistance. 50% light can be better than a 25% split, but really, that depends on the battle. Ultimately, it nevertheless has the same snags as the aforementioned card. Swords of Fury increases attack of a short sword. A Family Reunited boosts magic of a fist. The One I've Loved suffers for being stuck with a whip requirement, but the fact that the third passive is available to any unit from Final Fantasy Brave Exvius opens up far more possibilities than Swords of Fury, which also has a limit burst damage boost. The attack stat is also high, which makes that whip requirement all the more saddening to look at. Even heroes need a break boost attack with a greatsword. It's the first card, but better. Still, attack remains attack. Ragnarok boosts defense when equipped with a fist, and boosts it further so long as the unit's holding a single weapon. The stats and passives are good, but it also asks for a fist, which really makes it case by case. A Crimson Colored Light indiscriminately boosts magic, provides a boost to your unit's limit burst gauge fill rate, and boosts the limit burst damage for units from Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. To top it off, it has a high magic stat, and while that can be overshadowed in the future, it's not happening just yet. Dramatic Costume Change has the highest attack stat of all vision cards here, and while its passives just boost HP and attack, there's no restriction to any effect. It's surprising how substantial a difference of 5 makes. A World United provides a great deal of attack of a sword or greatsword, a decent amount of magic of a rod, and a limit burst damage buff for units from Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. It's ultimately rather comprehensive, netting it a high placement in this video. Memories Below the Surface boosts MP, and elemental resistance for units from Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. While it initially looks lackluster, the spirit stat combined with the MP passive makes it a decent choice for anyone who wants to use something like Holy. Granted, almost no one does, but it's important to not overlook it. Flighted Friends boosts attack and jump damage for units from Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. However, I can only think of 2 notable units that fit, and one of them owns this card. A Love for All Time has good attack and magic, increases both further, and limit burst damage by 25%. As an added bonus, units from Final Fantasy VI get additional flat stats. This makes it amazing for anyone from Final Fantasy VI, though for anyone else, it's just kind of decent. Toyo and Trouble boost magic of a dagger. What really sets it apart though is the double fairy killer. It's a bit niche, but the card itself isn't that bad. Ruin to Remedy boosts spirit, and then boosts it even more if the unit is single wielding. In terms of spirit, it's better than Yoshikiri's, though it lacks the status element resistance. If you can look past that, it's pretty good. The Most Merry of Melodies boosts defense and spirit while carrying an instrument. Unfortunately, though the stats are okay, and the extra passive is useful, the fact that it requires an instrument kinda prevents most units from taking full advantage of this card. We Have Arrived is a Love for All Time, but a different game. Same rank, same reasoning. Duo in Disguise is Memories Below the Surface but with different elemental resistance. La Vida Rocca has very low stats. To compensate, it has a strong MP regen. It could be useful, but a lot of units have their ways of recovering MP, and after that you simply focus on the battle again. Practice Session boosts MP and magic. It also has a weak magic killer against 3 different species. And then on top of that, units from Final Fantasy Brave Exvius get a small MP regen and lower their MP cost. It's not as strong as the Crimson Colored Light in pure strength, but it makes up for it with a variety of other effects. Bringing Home the Bacon has good defense and spirit, but most tanks tend to focus on one over the other. It doesn't stop it from being a good card, but it might have some trouble standing out. Thunder Plains has some defense and spirit, and then a double fairy killer. Honestly, it's like Toyo and Trouble, where the fairy killer is the only thing that makes it worthwhile if the stats don't match. Vacation, All I Ever Wanted has low stats. It has good passives, but it has low stats. And then the remaining vision cards have such niche effects that they're not worth going over, especially when you can obtain most of them randomly from getting any Neo Vision unit in the first place. So with that, what's the best vision card? For now, I think it's a Crimson Colored Light. High magic stat, more magic, boost the limit burst gauge fill rate, and boost the limit burst damage for units from Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. After that, Dramatic Costume Change is a good pick, due to its lack of restrictions and high attack stat. If you want attack and unlimited burst damage buff, you can also go for a World United, though that one is partly restricted to units from Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. Of course, just like anything else, vision cards can get power crap, so ultimately the best choice is to hold off on making a decision, as you sit there, telling yourself, maybe, just maybe something better might come along. And then ultimately you'll never end up using this ticket, and will continue to complain that they should have just made the premium unit vision cards available at EX+1. Like look at Dark Reign's card, why can't I just get that? Thanks for watching, and if you liked this video, leave a like and subscribe. Comment below if you use this ticket now, and which card you traded in for. Personally, I still think Rizer's vision card remains number 1, but as you well know, I already have it maxed out, so there's no need for me to get further copies.